Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nindori Madalina Ali, and we would like to welcome you all to International Women's Day 2021. We would also like to welcome Bina Nusantara University Vice Rector, Student Affairs and Community Development, Mr. Johan Escom MM. Maria Battaglia, Director of Istituto Italiano of Culture Jakarta. Angling R. Tirtasi, Indo-Runners Bali. Samantha Barbara, Dayadara Indonesia Foundation. Desi Dwi Priyanti, ASOS, MCom, PhD, Brawijaya University. And Dina Prapto Raharja, ASIP, MA, PhD, Bina Nusantara University. We would also like to welcome our guest speaker, colleagues from other university, fellow lecturers, staff, and students of Bina Nusantara University. Before we begin, we would like to ask for the audience to kindly take a moment to commence the prayer. To your, according to your respective religions and beliefs, so our event will run smoothly. Prayer start. Finish. Thank you. Next, we would like to invite Bina Nusantara University Vice Rector Student Affairs and Community, Mr. Johan Escom MM, to deliver the welcoming speech.
Okay, can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Yes, clear, Pak Johan.
Okay, thank you. Okay, to all the excellencies, our distinguished representatives, also all the colleagues, good morning and a very warm welcome to our International Women's Day 2021. I would like to warmly welcome to our distinguished guest speaker this morning, the Honorable Maria Battaglia, Ibu Angling R. Tilarsi, Ibu Samantha Barbara, Ibu Desi Dwi Priyanti, Ibu Dina Prapto Raharja, and also Ibu Arianti Wardaya Puspo Kusumo. It is a privilege to have you all with us today. Today it is my honor to host along with my colleagues from Community Development Academic of Binus University for these important occasions. We are all gathered here to celebrate the achievement of women and girls across the regions and beyond. Binus University is committed to fully actualizing the skills and capabilities of all the staff and students to benefit from their talents. We support employment equality, including the representations of women through our policies, practice, and also inclusive culture. In the course of 40 years, the university has made a significant improvement in the representations of women in senior leadership positions and has a long-standing reputation for fairness and also equality in the workplace. This would be our great honor as Binus University first rector was a woman, in memoriam Dr. Insinyur Tresia Ibu Widya Suyaningsi, while the university has made a great progress in creating a fair, flexible, and equitable workplace. Our current workforce data indicates that we are continuing, like many other institutions around the world, to underutilize the talents of women. To promote a community or an organizations that embrace gender equality, it is essential that all the staff and management lead by example. And I think it's nearly 56% of all Binus University staff are women. We still need to do more to improve the representations of women in leadership roles. A career support program is also being implemented for spouses and partners of Binus University staff. This includes paternity leave and marriage grant. Moreover, we also provide scholarships to the staff children who study at Binus, starting from kindergarten to university level. We embrace the importance of work-life balance and the significance of family and community to the staff and students of Binus University. I hope that on our discussions today and at some events in this month ahead can lead the way to greater commitment and actions. So on this International Women's Day, I would like to reiterate my commitment to gender equality and women's empowerment. I wish you all a happy International Women's Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johan. I would like to remind our audience to rename Zoom ID to community and full name. Next, let us sing our national anthems Indonesia Raya together. Thank you, audience. Before the presentation, allow me to introduce the moderator. Our moderator is Dr. Aryanti Wardaya Puspo Kusumo, BSc MBM. Dr. Aryanti Wardaya Puspo Kusumo is the head of internationalization of Faculty of Economics and Communication, Binus University. In 2017, she attains her doctorate degree from the University Pajajaran. Now, she teaches marketing and entrepreneurship, leadership and business ethics, CEO, SMK, and logistics. And her current interest is in women entrepreneur and SME. She's also the owner of Gemelli Food, Alexa Carpet and Rugs, and Berjaya. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. R.A. Aryanti Wardaya Puspo Kusumo. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Mondor. It's been a pleasure for me to have me to be in this event. Good morning to all the speakers, and good morning to Johan. Good morning, sir. We're here to celebrate the International Women's Day. So, and the audience, good morning, audience. International Women's Day is a global event to celebrate women's achievement. raise awareness of bias, and take action to improve equality. This webinar will follow this year's theme of Choose to Challenge. You will hear about the experiences of panel of women at different stages in their career to help raise your awareness and the challenges they have faced in the work during their work experiences. Now, we will have 5 speakers today. We have Dottoressa Maria Battaglia from the Istituto di Italiano di Cultura. We have Miss Angling Tilarsi. We have Miss Samantha Barbara. We have Dr. Desidwi Priyanti, and Associated Professor Dina Prapto Raharja. Each presenters will speak for about 20 minutes. That includes the Q&A, and we will provide the best prizes as well for the Q&A, which the speakers will have to choose the best one. Without much ado, we would like to start the sessions by inviting the first speakers to the floor. For this, we would like to have the presence of Direttrice of the Istituto Italiano di Cultura of Jakarta. Her name is Dottoressa Maria Battaglia, the director of Istituto Italiano di Cultura. Dottoressa, are you here?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, let me read a little bit about yourself, just a little bit, your background, okay? Well, I prefer to speak in Italian, of course, but then otherwise, and nobody will understand. So it is better that, let me continue in English, Dottoressa Maria Battaglia. We have met actually in the American Embassy last time, if you don't remember. Just let me refresh you on this. So, Dottoressa Maria Battaglia, she graduated in Modern Foreign Languages and Literature with a thesis in Comparative Literature of Marcel Proust and Gabriele D'Annunzio. She began her career as cultural attaché at the Consulate of Italy in Toulouse in 1996, and at the same time as Italian language and literature teacher at the University of Toulouse, Jean Jaurès, for 5 years. Then she was assigned to Istituto Italiano di Cultura in Rabat in Morocco. And then she moved to Algiers. And now she is with us today in Jakarta to present this for us. Dottoressa Maria Battaglia, I would like you to have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Radianti. Thank you so much, and to also the International Women's Day organized by Binus University. I'm very glad to be with here to attend this webinar. Firstly, I would like to tell about my speech. There are 3 items. Firstly, I asked to Kisera to show PowerPoint for illustrate my speech. For share.
Actually, Ms. Kisera and I has been spoken this morning. Abbiamo parlato questa mattina con la signorina Kisera. Dottoressa, procede?
Sì. Dottoressa Kisera for a PowerPoint because I don't watch it. Okay. I don't watch it. I don't know.
Can she hello the host, please?
Okay.
Okay. So can you put Ms. Kisera as the co-host so she can show her PowerPoint, please?
Share our PowerPoint because firstly. I would like to talk about women's rights in Italy, couple of minutes, about the situation, the gender equality in Italy. Okay, and my idea, firstly, the path of women toward gender equality. Secondly, the laws changing the course of history. And after that, the new ways of feminist movement. And finally, my conclusion. For the first item, the condition, it's okay. The condition of women toward the gender equality. The condition of women in Italy has radically changed compared to the past, thanks to greater participation in society and the political life, although with still very evident limits. The struggle for women to achieve these first results has been long, difficult, and characterized by centuries of injustices, obstacles, and sacrifices. According to the Global Gender Gap Index, the report published by the World Economic Forum to assess the progress made toward gender equality in the sectors of politics, economy, education, and health of 153 countries, Italy ranked 76th place in 2019. Only recently, laws have been enacted that protect women from femicide, stalking, and domestic violence, and mobbing in the workplace. In the workplace, however, for example, despite the fact that there are laws that provide for equal treatment between men and women, and the prohibition of dismissal for pregnant women, many women are forced to choose between professional and family life. About it, let me show you a key sequence from the Italian movie, The Last Will Be Last, where the main actress, Luciana, who has a temporary job in a weaving factory, is fired because she's pregnant. Please, Kisera, you can show this a little sequence.
Il dottor Saltutti vorrebbe parlarle.
Saltutti?
Sì.
Addirittura, che è successo? Dottore?
Prego, si accomodi. Come sta Luciana? Tutto bene?
Abbastanza, grazie. Cioè, veramente sono un po' stranita perché è la prima volta che mi convoca in tanti anni. Ma che ho fatto qualcosa che non dovevo?
Guardi Luciana, vengo subito al punto, senza giri di parole.
Sì.
Io non le posso più rinnovare il contratto.
In che senso?
Ha capito?
Che mi licenziate?
No, non le rinnoviamo il contratto. È diverso.
È uguale.
Mi dispiace, noi dobbiamo fare a meno di lei.
Ma so io che non posso fare a meno di voi. Ma come faccio?
Luciana, abbia pazienza. Non dipende da me, io faccio soltanto il mio lavoro e le assicuro che non è facile. Però, mi scusi, nelle sue condizioni, quanto pensa di poter lavorare ancora?
Che condizioni, scusi?
Luciana, lei è incinta. Pensava di dircelo il mese prossimo dopo che firmava il rinnovo? Le sarebbe sembrato corretto?
No, infatti gliene avrei parlato.
Né tantomeno io posso chiederle di rinunciare alla gravidanza.
Perché se rinunciassi sarebbe diverso. Ho capito.
Lucia, tanto tra 2 mesi si vedeva.
Okay, and it's it's a situation very dramatic for Luciana, but despite the laws to protect the women in 1971, in 2000, in 2021, but it's very complicated for this situation, especially when there are a temporary job. For the second item, the laws that change the course of the history, it is only toward the end of the 19th century that women in Italy begin to see some basic human rights recognized. For education, for example, in 1874, women were allowed access to high schools and universities. In 1919, marital authorization was abolished and women were allowed access to public offices, excluding the judiciary, politics, and the army. But after, during the fascist regime, the rights acquired up to that moment are downgraded, and the laws that subject women to the choices of the fathers and husbands are enforced. With the racial laws of 1938, the emancipation of women goes a tragic and a further setback. However, this is the starting point for longer-awaited female participation in the rebellion, which is organized in the anti-fascist defense groups and in the resistance, la resistenza. At the end of the Second War, the importance of the role played by women during the years of conflict is finally recognized. Already in 1945, women's suffrage was poured. It is on the occasion of the institutional referendum of 2nd June 1946 that women are allowed to vote for the first time. Citizens are asked to choose the destiny of the country between monarchy and republic. Finally, in 1948, the text of the Italian Constitution was drafted by 20 women, important women, and in Article 3, guarantee equal rights and equal social dignity to women in every field. And for the new waves of the feminist movement, the feminist movement will resume around the 60s at the time of the economic boom, which sees the profound change of women's habits and collective mentality. Feminist movements were born and developed in Italy, thanks also to the example coming from USA and world events. The goal is not only to claim the principle of equality, but also to focus attention on issues that directly concern the female world, such as sexuality, abortion, and contraception, but also divorce. Some dates: 1963, women are allowed to enter to the judiciary. We will have to wait until 1981 to see them participate in the police force, and even to 1999 for their admission into the armed forces. As for divorce, we wait 1970 and 1975 for family law reform. In 1978, it had been possible to terminate the pregnancy voluntarily for personal reasons, if the health of the woman and baby are at risk, or by evaluating the circumstances of the conception, such as rape. Finally, in 2013 and 2019, the criminal measures to be attributed to gender-based violence against women are finally regulated. In 2019, another law, named the Codice Rosso, it's a very important victory for to protect women, named the Codice Rosso, the Red Code. It is very important for femicide. After a long, difficult path, women are finally seeing greater protection in the event of violence, abuse in the family, revenge porn, and acid scarring. These are just some of the rules that women have obtained with great sacrifice, with the tears and the blood of other women. The Nilde Iotti Foundation listed them in a book entitled "The Laws of Women Who Changed Italy," which argues the social impact of women's struggle on the country and on the general mentality. The goals achieved by women have been great, but the path to equality is still long, especially in the professional sphere. In the world of work, there is still a long way to go, and there is still a big difference between the percentage of male and female employment. It seems impossible to think that in 2021, women are still victims of the wage gap. For the same jobs, female workers earn less than men. But that's not all. Access to the world of work for women is mainly oriented toward less prestigious and paid positions than men. Furthermore, only 1 in 4 women succeeds in holding managerial position, because it can be attributed to gender stereotypes which still affect education. For my conclusion, let me stress some points, important focus. We women, we need the dual support for equality, mainly in the areas of work, family, and gender-based violence. On the one hand, we need the structural reforms and regulations, and on the other hand, it is important to promote a change of mentality. And it's important that the concept of equality must be imported in the places of education from early childhood, transmitting the enrichment that comes from the diversity of each to be respected and valued. Secondly, to enable women to develop their professional careers like men, more services dedicated to children and families are needed at affordable prices, as well as a greater contribution from a father who should be able to take advantage of a parental leave similar to the mother. And as for the violence, femicide, it should be condemned in any case with harsher penalties, serious penalties. I thank you so much for your attention. That's all. Auguri all'Italia language, all women in the world.
Thank you, grazie. Grazie, Dottoressa. And it was really inspiring, very inspiring that how women in Italy has also a similar case like the one in Indonesia. Like, you know, they don't continue with the contract when we work, and sometimes you have to stop the contract because they're pregnant. That was really unfair. But however, these are the situation of women. Shall we carry on with the Q&A now? The Q&A sessions. Is there any questions from the floor to Dottoressa Maria Battaglia? Apakah ada pertanyaan? Is there any questions for to Dottoressa Maria Battaglia? She will give 2 prizes. The best questions raised during this sessions. So please raise your hand using the panel there. You press reaction and then push the raise hand channel. Then the community will find out who's going to ask the questions. Any questions from the floor? Oh yes, we have our first questions. Teresa. Shall I just, would you like to read it or let me read it out for you? The first question comes from Miss Deborah Ajeng. Well, she has the same name like me. Bagaimana pengaruh wanita dalam politik di Italia? How is the women influence in the Italian circumstances? In the Italian politics situation?
Yes, Italian politics, women in the Italian politics, the presence of women, the Italian politics, it's now, it depends from a period, from politic but generally it's not very enough of, in my opinion, it's not very enough. There are women, important women, and for example, I talked about a situation for of Italy after the end of the Second War. 30 women, they had important role in this change mentality. But it's important also to continue. We have laws. I presented to you laws in the end of 19th centuries, but the laws, it's very difficult to apply. Also, to apply, for example, for the workplace, the movie is realized in 2015, and we have laws since 2000 to 21 and so on. But it's complicated, especially I speak about the temporary job, not stable job for the public administration. No problem. But in the say factory, private society factory, is very complicated, and the boss are always the possibility, the tools to raggirare, to turn around the laws. It's very complicated. I don't know what are the different similarity from West and the South. I don't know, of course, the difference. I don't know the feminism in Western and the Southeast Asia. I don't know.
Okay, we raise to the second question. This is from Narita Giannini. Her name maybe ring a bell. Okay, and she asked about the equality of rights. However, feminism might relate to equality of rights. However, there are women who do not aware of their rights, and they are even far from equality. Hence, they do not wish to know and choose to remain as a subordinate in the company. Do you think is the right way to raise their awareness? Maybe Ms. Giannini can talk about this. Or
okay. No, I can answer if I know.
Okay, sure.
Did you have a program for collaborative program between which? No, for the present, no. Cultural Italian Institute promote language and culture, Italian culture in Indonesia. No, we haven't. These other sectors of Italy embassy, but not Italian culture. We can speak, we can celebrate the day, we can organize the webinar, but not the other project. We like Cultural Italian Institute don't have this program. It's another sector of embassy of Italy. And I don't understand, to be honest, I don't understand this question about equality, the first. Talking about the feminine might relate to equality of right. However, there are women who do not aware of they are even far from, I don't understand. There are women don't aware of their right. No, there are women. Women are aware of their right in Italy. Women know their right, but it's complicated to apply to demand respect of these laws. Women are right now, but we have to continue to handle this, manage this problem. For example, in the movie, in this sequence, the problem is between also Luciana and his colleague, and her colleague. Her colleague knows that Luciana was pregnant. 2 months, I think, 2 months pregnant. But she said this news to her boss, to keep the job. It is important also between women. We need solidarietà. We need to be
solidarity
between women. It's important to be aware about our rights. We need some more strong. We need to be more aware. Yes, of course.
So we can have one more questions, and then you have to choose 2 persons out of these question and answers. Person who just ask in the chat box.
Yes, there are no. For 1 year, what should not be with the sign that you're inside? No, I don't know what. Rian, from Rian.
Yes.
There is a regulation for 1 year. Women should not be, and we should sign that conduct. What is your insight about the regulation? But I don't know. Non sono una giurista. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know laws, Indonesian laws.
Okay, so I think the time is up. Let's choose. Would you like to choose 2 people, 2 persons out of the best questions that was raised today?
In marriage, life, and education, in the implementation of gender equity, gender equity. From Lily's Sholila, which is the implementation of gender equity between men and women in your country in terms of marriage, life, and education. For example, I know the men, for father, it's possible to take a parental leave. If they want, it's possible to take parental leave, like similar to mother, and currently, in Italy, we talk about a possibility to give to children two surname, not only surname of the father, but also surname of the mother. Do you understand? Yes.
Teresa, the time is up. Actually, you have to choose. There is scegliere 2%. You have to choose 2%.
But now we are talking in Italy. This moment, currently, we are talking about the possibility to choose, between the surname of the father or the mother, but also to keep two surnames of the mother and of the father.
You have to choose two winner from the, yes.
Yes, it's about me. It's important for a child to keep the two surnames of the mother and of the father. Equality,
Yeah.
gender equality. Question for our
Thank you. The time is up. E finito. Yeah, the time is up. So the winner will receive 100,000 each, and we need two winners. We need two winners for today. You have to choose, madam. Can you choose for us, please? Choose which one you like.
Okay, from Lilis Sholila, what is the implementation of gender equity between men and
the name again? I didn't catch the name.
Lilis Sholila.
Okay.
And Edrida Pulungan, how much the contribution of women in parliament in Italy? Did you have a program for collaboration?
Okay, congratulations to Ibu Lili Soliha and to Ibu
Edrida
Pulungan. Okay, so please, the committee, if you can take care of the, yes, congratulations, Ibu Erdida. This is very nice that you received a gift from us. Okay, I hope you enjoy and you can continue throughout the sessions. Thank you, Dottoressa Maria Battaglia. Ci vediamo. We'll see us again in the future. Yeah, as we cross path later on after this. Thank you. Let's move on to our second speakers. Can we have a spotlight of the second speakers, please? Spotlight on the second speaker. Correct me, I'm wrong. I still have Miss Angling Tilarsi, right, as a second speaker.
Halo,
Yes.
selamat pagi.
Good morning, Ibu.
Selamat pagi, Bu Arianti.
Yeah, good morning. Okay, let me read a little bit about your background.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so a very interesting background. Can we have a spotlight on her CV as well? On her profile? Yes. So Ibu Angling Tilas, she resides in Bali, yes?
Sekarang saya tinggalnya di Singapura.
So you live in Singapore right now?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. And Ibu Angling Tilarsi, she was the marketing manager of Interlet Letting and estate agent in London. Then she has she is now also the social entrepreneur and founder of Barn and Bank Bali, and she's also doing a social media content manager. I think you're in Singapore right now, right?
Yeah.
You're doing this from Singapore.
Yeah.
So, and she graduated from De Montfort University, which I know some professors there in De Montfort University in the UK.
Nice.
Very close. Binus has a very good collaborations and also close tie with the partnership with the De Montfort University.
Lovely.
And you're also a graduate of Fisheries and Food Technology and Marine Science. This is interesting. From IPB University. And now you're doing the social entrepreneurship because you have a background on fisheries and so on, right? So without much ado, you have the floor, Ibu Angling Tilarsi, to discuss about all your endeavors and all your accomplishments so that the audience can learn many things from you. Thank you.
Terima kasih atas tempat dan waktunya. Saya akan bicara dengan bahasa Indonesia. Hopefully everybody can understand. Karena majority saya lihat yang mengikuti ini adalah kebanyakan orang Indonesia. Dan saya sendiri orang Indonesia, jadi saya bangga dengan menggunakan bahasa saya sendiri. Baik, nama saya Angling. Saya lahir besar di Jakarta. Kebetulan sekarang saya akan membahas sesuai dengan tema yang diberikan, yaitu Choose to Challenge. Nah, faktor-faktor yang saya lihat di area lain yaitu olahraga. Jadi, faktor apa sih yang mempengaruhi partisipasi perempuan di dunia olahraga? Kebetulan saya sendiri punya background, yaitu saya ketika pulang dari England, saya berdomisili di Bali dari tahun 2013. Saya mengikuti running community yang namanya Indo Runners Bali. Dari situ saya berkembang, saya tahu kalau olahraga itu nggak cuma sekedar ngejar target, tapi punya sisi-sisi lain yang sebenarnya bisa dimanfaatkan untuk berkembang secara signifikan, baik dari segi mental, spiritual, dan fisikal. Jadi di sini saya mau membahas tentang ada 6 faktor yang menurut background saya ketika saya berkembang dari mulai di Jakarta, dan saya hobi saya itu olahraga, hobi saya aktif. Saya merasa ada hal-hal yang sebenarnya mengganjal, especially untuk perempuan ya. Saya nggak tahu apakah sekarang itu sudah berubah, tapi yang saya lihat adalah perubahannya tidak terlalu signifikan. Jadi kita lihat sendiri selama 25 tahun terakhir ada penelitian sebenarnya di Women's Sport Foundation. Jadi pada usia dini, usia remaja, dari mulai usia 8 tahun ke atas, itu sebenarnya banyak anak perempuan yang berhenti berolahraga itu 2 kali lipat dibandingkan dengan anak laki-laki. Nah, ini sebenarnya apa sih faktor-faktor yang mengkhawatirkan ini gitu? Saya sendiri melihat ada 6 faktor, di mana faktor-faktor ini sebenarnya dari pengalaman saya pribadi. Yang pertama adalah kurangnya akses. Nah, lebih dari 1,3 juta lebih dari perempuan di dunia sebenarnya memiliki sedikit sekali kesempatan untuk berolahraga di sekolah. Itu starting sebenarnya dari SD. Saya sendiri masuk di SD, SD bukan SD swasta tapi negeri. Starting dari situ SMP saya juga negeri, SMA saya juga negeri, kuliahnya juga negeri. Jadi saya lebih banyak di-exposure oleh orang-orang yang background-nya sebenarnya menengah ke bawah. Dan kebetulan di situ saya juga melihat kalau saya cukup fortunate, keluarga saya mampu gitu untuk meneruskan saya ketika saya mau ngambil ekstrakurikuler di bidang olahraga. Tapi yang saya lihat adalah di sekolah sendiri itu kurang sekali pendidikan jasmani dan terbatas untuk anak-anak perempuan itu bermain olahraga gitu. Apalagi ketika berkembang ya di sekolah menengah, SMP, SMA, atau tempat kuliah, itu rata-rata anak perempuan itu harus cari tempat olahraga yang lain gitu untuk dan membutuhkan uang untuk actually to access that area yang emang mereka suka sebagai hobinya. Terus kurangnya ya dari sisi pemerintah sejauh ini menurut saya mungkin hanya terfokus di beberapa kota besar saja. Mungkin sekarang sudah bagus ya kayak di Jakarta, sekarang itu punya GBK yang sudah diperbarui beberapa kali. Terus kalau di Bali sendiri kita juga punya. Tapi di kota-kota kecil mungkin jarang ya. Yang saya tahu pengalaman pribadi adalah ketika saya mulai main sosial media di Instagram, di Facebook, saya melihat banyak sekali dari pelari-pelari atau atlet-atlet di Indonesia yang ternyata yang perempuan itu sendiri susah gitu untuk mendapatkan posisi di depan. Akses untuk mereka yaitu berlatih lebih baik gitu karena itu semua tools. Terus kalau menurut saya kenapa sih anak perempuan itu perlu banget olahraga. Nah, olahraga sendiri itu sebenarnya nggak cuma memperkuat fisik, tapi juga mempelajari hidup. Jadi pentingnya tentang kerjasama tim. Kalau memang olahraganya itu di tim kayak bulu tangkis, voli, basket, bola gitu. Terus meningkatkan kepemimpinan dan kepercayaan diri sama perempuan. Karena ketika kita nanti sudah lulus, masuk deh tuh kita ke dunia kerja. Nah, di situ biasanya di-challenge. Perempuan tuh banyak challenge-nya karena we are actually born in a man's world. Kita lahir di dunia yang kebanyakan didominasi sama laki-laki gitu. Walaupun mungkin sekarang kuota perempuan di dunia jauh lebih banyak, cuman masih terlihat gitu kalau perempuan itu masih di nomor 2 kan. Menurut saya itu yang pertama. Itu yang pertama tentang kurangnya akses. Yang kedua adalah masalah keamanan dan transportasi. Yang jelas adalah ini pengalaman pribadi. Saya biasanya sama tim lari pagi di Indorunners dan kita itu saling jaga. Kita itu buat peleton di mana yang paling depan, yang di tengah, yang di belakang tuh pasti ditaruh ada cowoknya. Karena apa? Karena marak sekali yang terjadi adalah ketika perempuan berolahraga, entah itu di pagi hari atau agak menjelang malam, karena during the day pasti kita akan bekerja atau sekolah. Itu sering sekali kita mengalami harassment, entah itu disenggol lah pantatnya, entah itu ditowel lah, atau mungkin digodain gitu. Jadi menurut saya masalah keamanan ini masih kurang ya. Saya juga kurang ngerti kenapa, tapi karakter laki-laki yang kebanyakan ada di negara saya sendiri di Indonesia itu kebanyakan kalau ngeliat perempuan olahraga itu mereka udah begini matanya. Jadi kayak ngapain sih gitu. Padahal sama aja cowok, cewek, laki-laki, perempuan perlu adanya olahraga. Terus untuk masalah transportasi kebanyakan tempat-tempat di lingkungan perkotaan yang padat. Terus kita mau pergi dari satu fasilitas ke fasilitas lain itu kurangnya ada transportasi yang memadai sebenarnya dan tidak membuat nyaman. Jadi kalau di Jakarta dulu saya waktu SMA itu kita harus ke GBK, di mana posisi SMU saya itu di SMU 6 di Blok M. Nah, berarti kan kita harus berangkat bareng, sedangkan biasanya kalau kami berangkat pribadi sendiri-sendiri gitu ke GBK itu naik bis itu biasanya cenderung akan kurang aman. Nah, dari situlah kita join tuh carpooling. Jadi hari ini misalnya pergi sama siapa di mobilnya siapa atau kita naik bus bareng. Pentingnya ada kebersamaan antara perempuan saling mendukung untuk satu sama lain itu juga salah satu benefit faktor yang harus kita camkan gitu, karena masalah transportasi dan keamanan ini kalau menurut saya belum berubah ya di Indonesia, atau menurut saya di negara-negara bahkan di Inggris sekalipun itu berubah secara signifikan gitu. Karena saya juga kadang-kadang di luar, walaupun ini di luar negeri, tapi kita suka wanti-wanti juga, bener nggak sih? Karena kejadian pengalaman adalah bukan saya tapi teman-teman saya paginya nggak jadi datang ketika kita mau latihan bulu tangkis atau mau latihan squash, ternyata mereka habis dipalak di jalan gitu. Jadi menurut saya seringnya perempuan itu justru jadi target kejahatan. Kalau menurut saya kenapa sih sebenarnya kita perlu mendorong teman-teman kita yang di posisi unfortunate ini, karena sering sekali mereka ngerasa ini udah nggak fun lagi, terus mereka harus mengerti ya 20% ketika kita belajar dari remaja ke dewasa itu kemungkinan kecil untuk terkena kanker payudara di kemudian hari itu less than 20%. Jadi memang perempuan itu karena hormonal changing-nya cepat. Jadi menurut saya ya memang harus adanya olahraga itu memperbaiki sistem tidur, pola tidur kita supaya kita tidur lebih nyaman. Terus otomatis kalau kita udah olahraga, let's say paling gampang lah jalan pagi. Kita udah terbiasa build a good habit, bangun pagi, ya kan, sarapan atau intermittent fasting, habis itu sarapan, itu sendiri akan mengubah pola si hormon dalam tubuh kita untuk menjadi karakter pribadi, physically, mentally, spiritually untuk jadi lebih baik. Menurut saya itu yang kedua. Yang ketiga sendiri ini stigma sosial. Ini berdasarkan pengalaman. Jadi meskipun banyak ya kemajuan gitu, tapi diskriminasi berdasarkan orientasi seksual dan identitas gender itu masih nyata menurut saya. Masih nyata. Masih dirasakan sampai hari ini. Mungkin nanti ada yang bisa berbagi sama saya di pertanyaan. Kalau saya sendiri waktu kecil, karena saya tuh suka banget main softball, saya cenderung rambutnya pendek, sekat. Jadi kayak modelnya kayak boyish, kayak tomboy, kayak pixie. Tapi ketika ke sekolah, ketika berada di luar dari area lapangan, orang cenderung melihatnya itu seperti remaja yang rapuh ya. Jadi dicap sosialnya kayak, oh mungkin kamu lesbian ya atau or something. Jadi kita nggak boleh punya karakter pribadi di mana kita bisa menjadi diri sendiri. Jadi dicap adalah di culture-nya. Perempuan itu cenderung pertama harus punya kulit yang bersih, bersinar, putih, sedangkan kebanyakan perempuan di luar yang olahraga cenderung kulitnya akan hitam manis gitu. Nah itu juga dilihat kayak kamu dekil nggak pernah mandi apa bagaimana. Itu sendiri menurut saya juga stigma sosial yang perlu orang-orang mengerti kembali gitu. Kalau kita cenderung punya melanin, orang Indonesia itu cenderung orang Asia ya cenderung akan mudah jadi coklat kalau ketika beraktivitas di luar. Dan jenis potongan rambut atau gaya mereka dengan fashion mereka baju itu membuat mereka nyaman. Tapi kadang tidak dihargai oleh society. Tapi lucunya di society ini, saya dari mulai saya kecil tahun 90-an berkembang. Mereka selalu bilang, society ini selalu bilang, be yourself. Tapi ketika kita be yourself, actually they cannot accept it. Jadi apa yang menurut saya sekarang bisa saya sharing adalah, don't mind, you have to be the best possible version of yourself. Selama kamu nyaman, kamu akan ikhlas, akan berpeluang untuk menjalaninya lebih baik. Dan olahraga menurut saya itu aset dari seluruh keluarga, di mana membina komunikasi antara orang tua dan anak-anak, kepercayaan dari mereka itu penting. Dan itu sebenarnya diwujudkan dari background kalau kita rajin berolahraga. Jadi orang tuanya sendiri harus diperkaya dengan background education kalau stigma sosial ini dihilangkan, disupport anaknya supaya lebih berani, perempuan-perempuan kita, perempuan-perempuan Kartini itu untuk lebih berani berolahraga, lebih berani menjadi diri sendiri, be grateful of the character. Yang keempat menurut saya ini adalah kualitas pengalaman yang menurun ya. Jadi apa sih tuh kualitas pengalaman yang menurun? Maksudnya begini, saat kita tumbuh dewasa gitu, fasilitas yang kebanyakan saya temukan pada saat itu laki-laki itu lebih mudah diberikan atau grup dari anak-anak cowok itu lebih diberikan kualitas yang menurut saya effortnya jauh lebih besar. Itu terjadi sekali ketika saya join national team di softball di DKI waktu itu. Itu tahun 1997 kali ya, udah lama banget. Jadi itu saya kelihatan ketersediaan pelatih yang berkualitas, pelatih yang punya background bagus, bahkan yang untuk baseball sendiri waktu itu ditaruh pelatihnya ada bulenya gitu. Sedangkan pelatih kita kenapa kita ditaruhnya dengan pelatih lokal? Padahal saya mengerti, mungkin pelatih lokal itu sendiri punya kinerja yang jauh lebih bagus. Tapi menurut saya begini, di bagian segmen laki-laki ada dua karakter, Westerner dan Asian influence. Menurut saya dengan banyaknya head di situ, kita akan cenderung menerima lebih banyak pengalaman yang di-share sama pelatihnya itu sendiri. Ketika bermain seperti karena permainan tim ya, jadi kita harus tahu strategi, harus tahu gimana cara build up connection antar tim. Nah menurut saya di perempuan ini kurang, dan mungkin pelatihnya sayang sekali pada saat itu kita hanya mendapat pelatih laki-laki yang ketika mungkin perempuan juga punya masalah pribadi, apalagi waktu itu masih remaja. Jadi kadang kita kalau lagi period, lagi menstruasi itu malu gitu untuk bilang, coach saya sebenarnya lagi sakit banget, belum bisa lari gitu, tapi saya bisa ikutan yang di zona yang lain. Itu agak malu sebenarnya ngomongnya, atau ada kendala-kendala kecil. Di situ saya juga udah approach manajer saya gitu, which is waktu itu perempuan, jadi lebih enak. Tapi ya gimana ya, pada saat itu coach sebenarnya talenta perempuan yang berkarakter di softball di pintu 1 Senayan itu cenderung banyak yang saya temukan, senior saya yang berwibawa, yang mainnya bagus, tapi mereka tidak dipercaya untuk megang tim nasional. Nah, saya itu juga kurang mengerti pada saat itu kenapa. Tapi sekarang sih sudah berubah semuanya. Yang saya lihat ada handle perempuan jauh lebih banyak yang berpengaruh untuk di posisi itu. Terus yang kedua adalah ketika saya lihat dari sistem budgeting ya. sistem budgeting dari perbasi atau tempat lain. Yang saya lihat, satu, atlet perempuan itu dibayar jauh lebih murah daripada atlet laki-laki. Itu saya nggak ngerti kenapa. Karena menurut saya sama aja. Kalau menurut saya semangatnya sama kok, latihannya bareng, capeknya bareng. Juaranya juga sama-sama juara 1, juara 2, juara 3. Tapi kenapa kita diposisikan, diprioritaskan nomor 2? Yang kedua adalah peralatan. Ketika itu saya melihat peralatan di tim perempuan itu tidak baik dari seragam, program, terus fasilitas, atau bahkan training untuk build up body ya. Waktu itu kita harus dibenahi juga dengan karakter untuk weightlifting. Jadi ada gymnya. Itu juga kurang. Perempuan itu tidak punya correction yang tepat gitu. Jadi padahal bentuk tubuh itu kan cenderung berbeda. Jadi yang difokusin hanya yang laki-laki saja. Saya kurang ngerti nih. Padahal kalau misalnya lagi tanding, saya melihat di internasional, baik internasional maupun lokal, sebenarnya penontonnya lebih ramai yang perempuan gitu loh. Jadi saya ngerasa nggak ada salahnya, perempuan juga disupport harusnya. Jadi menurut si Sport Foundation ini tadi, 3/4 wanita yang bekerja itu merasa partisipasinya mereka di dunia olahraga itu dihargai sangat amat kecil gitu. Dan itu tidak membantu meningkatkan citra diri di mereka. Itu menurut saya juga masih agak kurang ya. Itu yang keempat. Yang kelima ini, yang tadi yang sudah saya masukkan di tiap list, itu biaya. Itu biaya. Jadi itu yang saya lihat sendiri adalah, dan saya pengalaman sendiri adalah anggaran di sekolah. Itu yang terjadi ketika saya SMP dan SMA. Itu dipotong hampir setiap harinya di seluruh negeri yang saya tahu. Itu dan lebih sedikit peluang untuk perempuan atau anak-anak perempuan pada saat itu untuk develop. Jadi keluarganya waktu itu kebetulan bapak saya PWMG, dia approach. Jadi ketika perempuan itu harus punya dana pribadi gitu. Padahal sama aja, padahal di sekolah swasta, di sekolah negeri sama aja. Harusnya perempuan laki-laki itu didukung bersama. Kalau misalnya yang di approach dari POMG cuman karena bapak saya punya anak perempuan, kan nggak fair gitu loh. Jadi waktu itu ketika itu orang tua saya ditagih untuk ngumpulin orang tua yang lain yang perempuan-perempuan, di mana itu untuk menanggung tagihan untuk pelatih yang kurang lebih mahal, peralatan, sama persyaratan untuk perjalanan sendiri gitu. Jadi saya ngerasa loh, ini ada perbedaan apa gitu. Nah, ini sebenarnya hal-hal kecil yang mungkin selama ini yang saya pengalaman pribadi ya dari tahun 90 itu terjadi amat sangat influence-nya sangat besar. Tapi kadang di society itu segala sesuatu yang menurut saya agak janggal ini ditolerate, dimaklumi. Harusnya sih jangan dimaklumi, karena harusnya tidak membedakan. Seperti itu.
Maaf, we have, the time is up.
Oke.
Ya, boleh Ibu pilih sekarang. It was really interesting ya. Perempuan itu ternyata susah ya. Gaji bisa nggak sama di mana-mana kalau kerja. Anyway, oke. Ada banyak sekali yang bertanya nih Bu di chat. Waduh, luar biasa. Coba dipilih, dibaca semua dulu, nanti baru pilih 2.
Oke, ini yang pertama itu dari bawah apa dari atas ya Bu ya?
Dari atas.
Oh, dari atas. Sebentar.
Dari atas pertama,
ini ya. Saya mesti scroll panjang banget.
Scroll.
Iya.
Mulai dari tulisan saya lalu di bawahnya tuh. Waduh, cepet banget. Ibu Juria yang pertama kayak tuh.
Ya, Ibu Juria ya.
Ya.
Oke, sekarang anak muda, khususnya perempuan, susah diajak olahraga, apalagi olahraga outdoor. Bagaimana mengajak anak muda sekarang untuk olahraga khususnya outdoor, jalan-jalan pagi, bersepeda, basket, dan lain-lain? It's a very good questions. Jadi, anak-anak, itu baik perempuan dan laki-laki, yang saya tahu, itu dapat influence pertama yaitu dari bapak ibunya. Saya itu kecil melihat orang tua saya, kakek nenek saya, bahkan kakek nenek saya itu aktif di luar. Dulu saya jam 8 pagi hari Minggu pinginnya nonton Doraemon, Bu. Tapi berhubung orang tua saya aktif, saya diomelin. Saya waktu itu kayak getir gitu. Kenapa sih saya mau nonton kartun gitu? Tapi Sekarang saya bisa, I can thankfully thanks to them. Jadi kalau ditanya, gimana caranya sekarang mengajak anak muda? Itu balik lagi dari pribadi orang tuanya. Orang tuanya mau nggak keluar olahraga? Kasih example, kasih contoh. Yang kedua adalah yang paling mudah adalah tanya ke dia. Dia berteman sama siapa? Mereka hobinya
Oh,
apa?
you're waking. Okay.
Ya, mereka hobinya apa? Lakukan hal-hal positif bersama. Kita juga bisa encourage orang tua lainnya untuk, hey, ternyata anak saya sama anak kamu seneng loh naik sepeda. Gimana kalau kita janjian, ketemuan, within parents and the child, kita buat istilahnya kita lakuin hobi bersama. Itu sebenarnya encourage, dan dia ada barengannya. Kalau dia ada barengannya, dia akan cenderung dari awal ketika dia bangun tidur dia tahu, oh, I have a date nih today sama teman saya, Rizka gitu. Saya akan main sepeda. Kalau dia dari awal sudah dapat pengalaman yang menyenangkan, itu akan berubah jadi habit lama-kelamaan. Tapi itu balik lagi, harus dari orang rumahnya sendiri gitu, harus support. Ketika dia balik pulang ditanya, gimana tadi? Are you happy? Apa tadi challenge-nya? Jadi biasakan anak-anak muda itu diberikan waktu, diberikan trust, kepercayaan untuk mereka berkembang, baik dari segi mental mindset, baik physically maupun spiritually. Itu.
Mantap. Ibu yang berikutnya nih masih banyak pertanyaannya.
Oh iya, terus
dari Frihardina, lalu dari mana-mana ya Ibu Frihardina, tentang kemampuan tubuh perempuan dengan pria.
Ini ada yang menarik ini. Ketika saya tadi berbicara soal masalah keamanan, ini dari Ibu Silmi Hanifah. Biasanya anak perempuan jadi nggak suka olahraga karena suka kena pelecehan sosial. Jadi bagaimana cara menghindari pelecehan tersebut? Oke, this is a good question. Ini mungkin hampir terjadi sama kebanyakan, saya kurang tahu ya, tapi selama saya berkembang, kalau saya pribadi sih nggak pernah ya, mungkin karena saya galak orangnya. Cuman teman-teman saya itu hampir 50-60%-nya, setengahnya lah, sudah pernah mengalami yang namanya pelecehan seksual ini. Nah, yang harus dilakukan adalah ketika pada saat itu saya punya teman di grup, kebetulan kapten, dia itu inspiring sekali, perempuan namanya Jayanti. Dia itu justru cenderung akan memeluk temannya dan bilang, so just because of that you're gonna stop, you're gonna leave us just because of that, we're here for you. Jadi pentingnya ketika anak perempuan itu mengalami pelecehan adalah dekati dia, tanya, dengarkan apa yang menjadi problem, issues sama dia pada saat itu, ketidaknyamanan itu. Lalu berikan solusi. Oke, kalau kamu digituin kemarin jam berapa? Oh, mungkin jam pagi. Oke, besok bapak atau ibu yang nganter, naik motor ke tempatnya langsung. Atau mungkin kakak kamu bisa nganter lewat naik sepeda. Jadi sebenarnya akses tadi yang saya jelaskan, langkah-langkah yang tadi saya kasih tahu itu yang ada 6 step, 6 faktor. Itu sebenarnya jawaban dari selama ini kenapa sih perempuan itu mesti didukung dari segi olahraga gitu. Kalau menurut saya, kalau terus untuk menghindari pelecehan seksual, mungkin banyak yang dari ibu-ibu di sini mikir, oh pakaian anak saya terlalu ketat, pakaian anak saya terlalu terbuka. Bu, percayalah, coba ibu googling sekarang, banyak sekali pelecehan seksual itu terjadi, bahkan tidak terjadi ketika wanita itu menggunakan pakaian yang seksi. Justru 80% ketika itu, saya lihat ada pameran waktu itu di Inggris, di dekat Saint Martin, itu di King Cross. Kebetulan saya lihat, di situ ada International Women's Day yang dibilang, coba kalian masuk ke suatu ruangan, di ruangan itu ada hasil baju-baju korban pelecehan seksual dan pemerkosaan. Dan ketika saya masuk, Bu, nggak ada satupun pakaiannya itu yang menerawang. Semuanya itu pakaian, either itu pakaian panjang, pakaian coat, atau mungkin rok panjang. Jadi tidak ada tuh yang namanya sensualitas, itu tergantung dari pikiran negatif orang yang menyerang. Jadi menurut saya semua perempuan itu bisa kena di posisi yang sama, tapi caranya adalah menghindarinya adalah kita buat carpool tadi, kumpul dulu di mana, berangkat bareng, atau diantar dari support dari keluarganya, seperti itu. Terus ini
ada yang laki-laki tuh Bu.
Oh, yang mana ya?
Yang Pak Rian tuh. Itu laki-laki.
Rian, Bu Angling, saya Rian. Tapi perempuan ya, ini katanya perempuan.
Iya, oh perempuan ya.
Iya.
Namanya perempuan.
Apakah punya program khusus yang bisa diajukan ke pemerintah untuk perempuan yang mau berolahraga? Seperti yang Ibu bilang, banyak perempuan kita yang enggan berolahraga karena banyak faktor. Saya sering kegiatan outdoor dan untuk mengajak teman-teman perempuan untuk games karena 90% masih ogah ikutan. Terima kasih. Hal pertama yang harus diperhatikan kalau menurut saya ya, Bu Rian atau Mbak Rian, look all those examples of women with character and power yang sebenarnya ngasih power yang positif di lingkungan, ya kan? Contoh kalau saya waktu di Jakarta, kalau sekarang ya yang paling gampang semuanya orang tahu, kita tahu Melanie Putri, Putri Indonesia. Tapi sekarang Mbak Melanie cenderung jadi running enthusiast. Dia tunjukin, saya memang feminim, tapi I can do better. Saya pernah lari sama Mbak Melanie. Mbak Melanie masih ketawa-ketawa tuh, oh iya, ayo masih ngobrol. Saya udah ngos-ngosan, Bu. Saya langsung berpikir, kok dia bisa ya seperti itu dengan pace yang sangat kencang. Ternyata dia itu juga punya trainer, dia itu juga berlatih, dia itu meningkatkan endurance. Jadi di balik itu saya belajar, kalau sebenarnya endurance, power, dan lain-lain itu bisa dilatih. Bukan lahir born with talent. Itu sudah dilatih gitu. Jadi dan yang kedua ada lagi mungkin yang pada udah tahu terkenal ini Liliana Natsir, atlet bulu tangkis.
Yeah.
Dia kalau main tuh fokus, dia nggak peduli orang teriak wah, 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 tapi dia fokus. Jadi kalau menurut saya cari orang-orang example di community yang jadi dilihat orang itu positif. Approach sekarang media sosial terbuka, cerita kalau kita tuh suka banget dengan games olahraga ini dan dia backgroundnya mungkin dari background basket atau background apa yang sama. Approach, Kak, gimana caranya supaya kita bisa meet up antar perempuan, saya bawa tim ada sekitar 20-30 orang supaya mereka tuh terbuka dulu wawasannya. Ketika wawasan terbuka, fisikal akan mengikuti.
Waktunya punten, sudah pendek.
Oke.
Durasi punten.
Oke.
Can you choose? Boleh pilih dua?
Oke, yang pertama sih saya milihnya itu yang pertanyaan kedua ya. Yang masalah
Ibu siapa ya? Atau Bapak siapa?
Ini Ibu. Oh ya, ini yang bagaimana cara menangani mental perempuan yang sudah terkena pelecehan dari pria. Ini Ibu. Sebentar kalau diklik. Kok nggak mau ya kalau diklik? Yang jam 12.04. Ibu Li siapa ini ya? Mungkin bisa dibantu cek sama
ya,
bisa dibantu cek sama tim. Ini 12.04
12.04.
Yes.
Tapi nggak ada ya sini.
Ibu Liviana.
Oh, Ibu Wulan bukan?
Liviana.
Ibu Liviana ya? Kok nggak bisa masuk sini? Oke, satu Ibu Liviana lah. Yang berikutnya?
Yang berikutnya mungkin yang pertama ya, soalnya menurut saya itu pertanyaannya bagus ya. Gimana cara ngubah pola mindset orang. Jadi Ibu Juria yang nanya, sekarang anak muda tuh kok susah diajak olahraga, apalagi olahraga outdoor. Gimana sih nyari caranya ngubah mindset anak muda ini untuk supaya lebih berkembang, supaya bisa menerima olahraga dengan baik. Itu sih menurut saya.
Terima kasih Ibu sudah memberikan paparan yang baik. Karena saya juga kurang olahraga, makanya saya agak terlalu seksi badannya ya. Gitu
bisa
kan. Jadi saya
mulai dari sekarang
Ibu
pelan-pelan.
Iya, jalan kaki kali ya. Saya nggak.
Betul, awalnya jalan kaki, berenang.
Iya. Sip.
Terima kasih Binus juga University sudah diberikan kesempatan.
Iya, oke. Terima kasih. It was really, really inspiring. Terima kasih penanya. Yang dua tadi Ibu Julia, Ibu Liviana, congratulations.
Selamat sekali lagi.
Ya, thank you.
Sama-sama.
Ya, Ibu Retno say hello tuh. Ya, kita move on to our third speakers. Nah, ini saya kenalnya mamanya selebritis nih. We would like to invite the presence of Ibu Samantha Barbara.
Hai,
Ibu Samantha Barbara, halo. Ibu Samantha Barbara Islan, maminya Chelsea Islan. How are you today, Ibu?
I'm good. I'm very well, thank you, Ibu Arianti. Senang berada di sini. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Dan terima kasih kepada Ibu Retno Dewanti yang sudah menghubungi, dan juga Mas Wisnu, tapi sekarang digantikan oleh Mbak Ayu kayaknya yang akan membantu. Terima kasih sekali. Hi guys, how are you?
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Ibu, maybe we have a similar friend, Winnie Sundaru.
Aduh,
Yeah,
temanku
she's
dekat.
my classmate di Jerman dulu.
Oh,
Classmate zaman high school.
Tukang makan.
Yeah, yeah. Let me read a little bit a background about yourself. Yeah. Besides, you're a very mother of a famous celebrity, Chelsea Islan, yang cantik. I know where she gets her beauty from the mommy, of course. Yeah. Ibu Samantha holds a master's degree in business administration with an emphasis of marketing and international business at Southern New Hampshire University. She's now the chairman of Daya Dara Indonesia Foundation, Love Pink. Love Pink is a nonprofit organization that was found by two best friends who had to go through the painful treatment and battle of breast cancer. Love Pink mission is to focus on helping, supporting, and giving moral support for those who have affected by breast cancer. So without further ado, Ibu, the floor is yours.
Ya, terima kasih sekali lagi. Kita sama-sama para perempuan di sini memperingati Hari International Women's Day tanggal 8 Maret tahun ini dengan topik Choose to Challenge ya. Jadi di sini kita sama-sama mungkin belajar bagaimana sebagai perempuan khususnya bisa men-challenge ourselves untuk mencari sesuatu yang menginspirasi kita atau memotivasi kita untuk berbuat suatu perubahan. And this means also we have to stay accountable for our actions and juga harus punya control of our thoughts. At the same time, biasanya saya pakai pink karena membawakan Love Pink, tapi hari ini saya blue because I would like to also saluting the men over di sini karena you have supporting us, you have given us a chance to be better or not competing, but sama-sama kita melengkapi. Kalau Anda bisa panjat gunung, saya juga bisa panjat gunung. Kalau bisa lari run 10K, kenapa saya tidak coba? So you guys are my inspiration as well. So tepuk tangan untuk kita semua yang sudah hadir di sini. Luar biasa. So okay, I will start with my saya sudah jadi host ya. Okay, hang on a second. Sebentar ya, agak gaptek dikit, nggak apa-apa. Mbak Ut, sebentar Mbak Ut, hang on. Sebentar. Oke. Yes. Okay. So choose to challenge. Saya mau cerita sedikit tentang saya sedikit, apa yang saya sudah pilih untuk saya jalanin ke depan. Ini punya background tertentu. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2013. Ya, sudah melewati segala macam, mulai dari mastectomy radical, chemo selama 1,5 tahun, radiasi 30 tahun, nggak gampang, tetapi mungkin saya sebagai perempuan, ketika ada sesuatu hal yang terjadi dalam tubuh saya nggak mau lama-lama. Saya periksakan, saya tuntaskan, saya bereskan dengan harapan saya bisa sembuh. Jadi apalagi kalau kita dealing with cancer, ini jangan ditunda-tunda. Harus segera dirawat dan diperiksakan ke dokter yang tepat. Nah, tetapi saya bisa sampai sekarang, today is my 7th year free of cancer because Chelsea is my support system dan dia adalah tujuan utama saya untuk sembuh. Jadi semua yang punya cancer, kalau kena cancer pilihannya hanya dua, mau lanjut atau tambah sakit dan mungkin mati. Itu pilihannya cuma itu, mau berjuang atau you want to give up. Nah, ketika kamu mau berjuang, kita harus mempunyai tujuan, cita-cita. Apa sih yang membuat kita ingin hidup? Nah, seperti itu. So, I want to be here because I want to see Chelsea, I want to be with her when she's growing up, watch her, dan segala macam. And perjalanan saya dengan Chelsea dan semua teman-teman yang mendukung saya luar biasa. So, on 2015, I finished my treatment. I contained the cancer and I become a survivor. Nah, dan kita selalu bersama-sama dengan teman-teman, maju tak gentar. Kita nggak sendiri. I cannot do it myself. My family, my support system, semuanya ini berjuang bersama-sama. Tetapi bukan untuk saya saja, tetapi bagaimana kita bersama-sama meningkatkan awareness pentingnya deteksi dini. Dan senang sekali saya diberi kesempatan bisa berada di Binus hari ini, supaya saya juga bisa share. Karena saat ini banyak sekali pasien yang angkanya umur muda ya. Nah, saya juga tadi sudah disinggung sedikit oleh Ibu Arianti. Yes, Laughing ini dibidani oleh kedua wanita cantik di sebelah kiri, Santi Persada dan Madelina Mutia. Santi sendiri stadiumnya 3B dan sampai sekarang setelah hampir 10 tahun masih harus berjuang. But look, she's gorgeous, beautiful, spiritnya luar biasa. Kayak nggak pernah punya cancer. So her spirit is our energy juga. Demikian juga Madelina Mutia dengan cancer yang 2B. Now she is runners. Bisa 21K, almost 42K sekarang. Jadi yes, setuju dengan Mbak Angling tadi, olahraga juga menambahkan kita untuk lebih sehat. Nah, ketika saya juga harus kemo, rambut gundul, sebagai perempuan tentu itu mahkota yang utama. Banyak sekali mereka yang tidak mau di kemo karena aduh saya jadi gundul. Banyak sekali yang nggak mau dioperasi, apalagi diambil salah satu payudaranya, karena itu juga bagian yang terpenting sebagai perempuan. Tetapi menurut saya rambut itu nomor 2, itu bisa tumbuh lagi. Kesehatan saya adalah nomor 1. Dan ketika saya harus pakai wig, pakai topi, aduh panas. Eka udah sakit disuruh panas-panas, enggak deh. Jadinya saya jalan apa adanya. Ya dianggap sebagai desainer atau artis apa ya terserah. Pokoknya I want to be the good version of myself ya, tanpa mengganggu orang lain. Dan ketika saya kemo keempat, saya muntah dan I'm struggling with all the treatments. Dan saya bilang sama diri saya, let's focus on the good vibes. So I write down my first book. Nah itu akhirnya sudah menjadi buku Breast Cancer 101-nya di kalangan pasien breast cancer ya. Jadi buku itu buku yang pertama. Nah, jadi sekarang saya udah 7 tahun, I wanted to live my life to the fullest. Ya, nggak ada yang membatasi saya, karena semua perempuan bisa melakukan apa saja menurut saya. And yang membuat sukses adalah Anda sendiri. The only thing that's stopping you from achieving the goals, it's you. Ya, jadi there is no looking back, nothing can stop me from achieving yang kita mau ya. Dan kalau kita sudah choose to accept the challenge, menurut saya ini we are half of the battle is already win ya. Nah jadi saya mengajak teman-teman di sini, apapun yang diinginkan, apapun yang ingin dilakukan, you can do it ya. Semuanya bisa dilakukan. Saya juga dengan cancer, kematian selalu ada, tapi saya nggak mau mikir yang mati-mati karena mau kejatuhan tangga bisa mati, tidur malam bisa mati, cancer ya of course bisa mati. So itu nggak usah dipikirin. So I never gave up. I tried my best to be better. Dan menurut saya nothing is impossible ya with the grace of God. Nah selalu grateful and good vibes only. Dan I'm trying not to sabotage my negative thoughts karena itu yang akan menyetop kalian untuk melakukan. Mau olahraga, males, mager dulu. Kayaknya mendung ya semuanya jadi nggak jadi ya seperti itu. Jadi harus kita bangkit, semangat kita harus kita kuatkan untuk apapun. So a little bit about laughing. Tadi sudah disampaikan. Jadi Santi Persada sama Muti ini dua orang yang luar biasa sudah memberikan begitu banyak cintanya kepada 2.000 lebih perempuan yang berada di bawah naungan Laughing sendiri. Jadi Laughing itu is a non-profit organization. Kita fokus on breast cancer issue. Sudah menjadi legal di 2014 menjadi Daya Darah Indonesia Foundation. So today, sama dengan saya, is marking of our 7-year commitments to our warriors, survivors, especially you guys. You are a matter for us. That's why I want to share a little bit about bagaimana menjaga tubuh kita, terutama tentang kanker payudara. Nah ini we have chapters around Indonesia, ada beberapa di Bandung, Pontianak, Manado nggak di Banjarmasin ya. Jadi Banjarmasin di Kalimantan, di Padang, Jakarta, Jawa Tengah, dan Jawa Timur. Cita-cita kita sih kita mau menurunkan angka pasien di 2030. Kenapa? Menurut WHO, bukan lagi 1 dari 8 perempuan yang terdiagnosa, tetapi kalau kita tidak make a good habit, make a change, akan menjadi 1 dari 3 perempuan yang terdiagnosa kanker payudara, dan ini tidak boleh terjadi. Therefore, we have a mission to increase awareness, the importance of early detection. Kita memberikan akses, education tentang informasi, bagaimana risk-nya, prevention-nya, dan early detection. Dan kita punya action. Kita punya 1 mobil USG di mana kita memberikan mostly kepada underprivileged community to get a chance to have pemeriksaan USG ya. Nah, how it works? Ini yang semua yang kerja di sini adalah survivors. Mungkin kita 20 orang, 5 orangnya masih kemonya oral ya, dan stadiumnya 3B, and we are working as a social workers. Nggak ada gaji, and we come with our hearts and attention, and we wanted to make sure Indonesia is free of advanced breast cancer in 2030. Jadi kita ada education, kita mencetak Laughing facilitator, kita juga mencetak counselor, semuanya punya sertifikasi. Jadi kalau counselor ini datang menyupport moral pasien, ya dia nggak bilang, oh sakit ya, kesakitan, minum baygon aja yuk, nggak sampai begitu ya. Jadi kita harus benar-benar mendukung dengan cara-caranya untuk pasien-pasien tersebut. Dan tujuannya adalah membuat pasien itu smart and brave. Mostly when you meet a doctor, ya dok, oh iya dok, oh vitaminnya ada 10 dok, oh iya dok, iya makasih dok, keluar. Next you have to ask questions. Ini buat apa, kenapa ini. Memang akan dimarahin some of the doctors. Saya dokternya, ibu jangan cerewet. Ya udah pilih dokter lain kalau udah kayak gitu. Nah, saya sendiri harus bonding dengan my oncology for 2 years, even until now. Jadi we establish good reports, kita komunikasi kenapa, bagaimana, dan thank God mereka juga sangat open dan membuat saya pintar gitu ya. Jangan sampai kita menyerahkan kesehatan kita kepada suami, kepada keluarga, terserah deh lu, gue mau disuntik apa terserah. Ya, itu sebenarnya sayang sekali. dengan kita mengetahui, kita juga akan lebih banyak mendapatkan energi positifnya. Nah, melalui edukasi kita ingin menambah angka perempuan-perempuan yang responsible to your condition, ya. Contohnya anak muda sekarang, millennials.
You have more
yeah.
minutes. You have
How
2 more minutes.
2 more minutes.
Two
Okay, I
more,
will make it.
But then after that, we have Q&A answer.
Yes.
5 minutes question and answer.
Okay. So this is next time Binus mau mengundang kita, silakan. Kita akan lebih banyak mendetailkan the importance of early detection. Kita juga punya pink van, we visit, and kita melakukan survivorship untuk our patient, advocacy. Kita merangkul 13 yayasan sejenis untuk menjadi asosiasi advokasi kanker perempuan di Indonesia. And then setiap bulan Oktober, hopefully Binus akan ikut serta meramaikan acara Bulan Kanker Payudara. So our mission is to make you check your boobs, ya. Karena apa? It's number 1 killer among women, and younger patients is increasing. Dan jangan lupa 1 dari 1000 perempuan, 1000 lelaki itu juga mempunyai kemungkinan untuk breast cancer. Karena ini harus cepat-cepat, can I ask my
Yes, Ibu.
Ini Ibu Tami, boleh saya stop share dulu untuk memberikan video yang terakhir?
Oh, silakan.
Ya, Ibu Tami, monggo.
Nanti Ibu sambil melihat, choose langsung 2 pertanyaan aja.
Siap, siap. Oke, so ini 3 diva, silakan kita dengar rumpian BH-nya, monggo. Mbak Ut udah share screen yang sebelumnya tadi untuk suara? Nggak kedengaran Mbak Ut?
Nggak kedengaran, iya.
Ya, sebelumnya harus share screen dulu, mungkin di share screen sebelumnya harus di-tick.
Iya, waktu share screen di paling bawah tuh Bu ada tulisan sound.
Matiin dulu Mbak Ut dari awal. Ya. Bisa Mbak Ut? Or you want me to do it? Gimana?
Ya, lagi dicari video ininya.
Ini Bu share screen. Di dalam share screen itu nanti di paling bawah sebelah kiri, bawah kiri, share computer sound. Nah itu pijit Bu.
Hai Mami BH, bisa BH?
Oke, Mbak Ut, tutup aja. I'll try my best to share. Alamak, tunggu ya. Oke, Mbak Ut, aku aja ya Mbak Ut, matiin dulu ya. Oke.
Melalui sadari rutin setiap
matiin dulu Mbak Ut. Ya, thank you Mbak. Oke, hang on second. Oke. Soalnya ini penting banget. I want you guys to see this. Ya, bisa dengar?
Ya, belum ada gambarnya dan belum di ini juga.
Hai, saya
sudah dengar? Sudah?
Sudah dengar, tapi gambarnya belum.
Anda kenakan sehari-hari. Saya dan teman-teman mau.
Karena memang harus orang lain.
Payudara.
Itu kan di komputer Ibu. Bisa sih Bu kalau di itu di.
Enggak, kalau gitu Mbak Ayu boleh share yang rumpian BH enggak? Mbak Ayu, minta tolong. Terima kasih Mbak Ayu.
Bu Ayu bisa dibuat jadi host.
Yang share?
Iya.
Ya.
Videonya belum saya dapatkan Ibu. Mohon maaf.
Saya udah kirim ke Mbak ke Mas Wisnu ya tadi.
Iya.
Tunggu ya.
Atau dikirim ke saya atau bagaimana? Atau waktunya juga udah move on terus kita tinggal 3 menit ini.
Iya, Mbak Ut boleh dicoba aja lagi deh Mbak Ut. Aku milih ini dulu pertanyaan yang Mbak Ut ya.
Oke.
Thank you Mbak Ut. Oke. Belum ada Mbak.
Belum ya? Sebentar.
Oke, saya sambil menjawab pertanyaan saja dulu ya, sambil menunggu ini. Nomor 1 dari Alexa Ade, ya nggak ada yang bisa menghentikan diri sendiri selain diri kita yang melemah karena kehilangan spirit hidup. Pertanyaan saya, bagaimana dukungan pemerintah negara untuk organisasi berkampanye breast cancer di Indonesia? Atau Ibu Barbara cuek aja mau didukung, disupport ataupun enggak, jalan saja? Oke, good question. Ya, pertama tentunya kita nggak bisa berjalan sendiri, tapi mostly memang kita punya cara, kita punya konsep untuk terus jalan ke depan membawakan awareness kita. Tentu gayanya kita agak berbeda kalau Anda mempelajari komunitas lain dan komunitas kita. So dengan pemerintah sendiri kita tentunya bersahabat, tapi memang pemerintah mempunyai batasan-batasan dalam memberikan dukungan. Tetapi melalui advokasi kita, yaitu tadi A2KPI, kita bersama-sama cari jalan bagaimana kita terus bisa mengumandangkan kampanye pentingnya deteksi dini dengan melalui puskesmas seperti itu. Oke, bagaimana menumbuhkan kepedulian sesama perempuan, especially for cancer survivor. Kalau cancer survivor sendiri, kita punya hampir 2.000. Kami tuh saling mendukung melalui WhatsApp group, kita bicara, kita memberikan informasi terkini mengenai treatment, makanan, semangat. Tetapi untuk supaya saling mendukung, kita juga mungkin dengan bergabung dengan komunitas, mereka akan lebih enak ya, lebih peduli satu sama lain, sama-sama telah merasakan susah senangnya, sehingga lebih pas ya. Silakan aja kalau ada pertanyaan bisa ke hello@lovingindonesia.org atau DM kita di Loving Indonesia untuk detailnya. Selamat pagi Bu Samantha, saya ingin bertanya bagaimana cara terbaik untuk mengenalkan edukasi anak-anak remaja penyebab tanda-tanda ya di sekolah, lalala. Oke, please colek saya, DM saya. We are happy to make a Zoom session with any schools. Ini yang kita sudah lakukan, even university itu sudah kita lakukan. Jadi tinggal kasih kami PIC-nya. Biasanya kita sudah sering sekali melakukan. Tapi untuk anak muda yang bisa kita ajak adalah faktanya adalah 1 dari 8 perempuan telah mudah terdiagnosa kanker payudara. Kedua, angka anak muda itu tinggi sekali. Jadi waktunya untuk melakukan self breast check up every month 7 sampai 10 hari setelah menstruasi. Semuanya ada di Google atau tempat Loving, silakan bisa dilihat di situ. Dan tentu kenali resiko. Ada nggak resiko di keluarga? Oh, ayah saya, ini saya. Apakah juga lifestyle Anda gimana? Wah, pemakan segala macam, terus habis itu obesitas, tidak menikah dan tidak menyusui, itu juga mempunyai potensi. Ketika menstruasi di bawah 10 tahun, itu juga mempunyai potensi. Atau menopause di angka 50, di atas 50 yang telat, itu harus konsul sama dokter. Jadi anak-anak muda, ya udah habis?
Udah habis.
Udah
Ibu harus
habis.
pilih 2, Ibu.
Oke.
Masing-masing akan dapat 50.000 rupiah.
Pulsa ya. Oke.
Pulsa, iya.
Ya, saya belum bertanya, tetapi saya mau memilih Najla Asarine yang mendapatkan karena meningkatkan literasi. We are lack of literasi about ini. bagaimana meningkatkan generasi milenial, bagaimana memberikan support pada pasien, itu yang pertama. Dan yang kedua, Rizky Pratomo, sebagai pria terima kasih sudah punya atensi kepada penyakit yang lebih banyak diderita perempuan. Itu Ibu, jadi untuk 2 orang yang akan mendapatkan pulsanya. Sementara feel free kalau nanti Binus mau mengundang kami lebih detail, kami dengan senang hati akan sharing.
Kayaknya harus session lain nih Bu.
Ya, betul
Ya.
sekali. Ya.
Baiklah, terima kasih Ibu Samantha Barbara, terima kasih sekali. Kita banyak belajar hari ini tentang ini. Sayang kalau filmnya nggak di bisa di show. Ya, siapa tahu kemudian hari. Salam buat Chelsea.
Terima kasih
Ibu. Terima kasih
semuanya teman-teman.
Ya, congratulations kepada congratulations kepada Ibu Najla dan Pak Rizky Pratomo for having for winning the prize. Nah, ya dari kita. Terima kasih. Kita move on kepada the fourth speakers. Kita di sini akan mengundang. We would like to invite Dr. Desi Dwi Priyanti, a lecturer, professor from Brawijaya University. Ibu Dewi, Dr. Dewi, Dr. Desi, yes. Sorry, I mispronounced.
It's fine.
And we have I've seen you this morning, a picture. Anyway, can we have a slide background on her on the CV, on the profile? How are you today, Ibu? You're fine?
Good, Bu Arianti.
Yeah, so we will learn about many things from you, of course. And let me read the profile. Pa Hassan, can I have the profile, please, of Ibu Desi? Ibu Desi, she is a graduate from Utrecht University, from the Netherlands, and for her PhD on Media and Cultural Studies, where she also graduated her master degree from the Hague University in the Netherlands, and her bachelor degree she graduated from University of Diponegoro. Right now, she is currently beside teaching for Brawijaya University. She's also conducting she won so many awards on research and many things. And let's listen up. Let's listen from her accomplishment and all her endeavors that she would like to share with us this morning. So, Ibu, the floor is yours. Ibu, Dr. Desi.
Terima kasih, Bu Arianti. So, before I move on with my presentation, let me share my presentation. Should I proceed in English or should I use Bahasa Indonesia, Bu Arianti?
Which one you feel more comfortable? It's fine with us.
Okay, because if there are any other foreign participants, then I can proceed with English. But if there are no foreign participants, then I can use Bahasa Indonesia, of course.
I think it's better to speak in English because this is an international conference.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah, thank
perfect.
you.
Thank you, Brandy. So, have the audience see my presentation already? I have shared my screen. Is it visible?
Yeah, it's there.
So, behalf of Universitas Brawijaya and the Center of Culture and Frontier Studies, so thank you for the invitation from Binus University. So I would like to answer to the webinar theme, which is choose to challenge, by posing this topic as my talk. So questioning women's stereotype as the second sex in post-colonial Indonesia. Not only because this is part of my expertise and part of my knowledge that I acquired during my career as Indonesian women scholars, and I will also love to share it with you because it is also part of the team, right? So I decided to have a talk about this topic. Not only this is the topic that I personally would like to challenge, as it is the common belief in our society, especially the post-colonial society, that being women means we are subordinated, marginalized, or even the second sex, which is not entirely true. So I would like to offer a new perspective in seeing gender relation in Indonesia. So this is part of my knowledge during my career as an Indonesian women scholars. So please bear with me if you find this a bit boring, because this is really, I try to make it more interesting, even though this is a really academic arena. So in general, I will divide my presentation into 3 sections. So the first part will be what we know as a common belief. So what kind of common belief existed in society regarding gender relation, especially women. And then the second part will be what is the alternative fact embedded in the social reality. And then finally, how did it start and what kind of study case that help us to see the alternative facts as the conclusion. So even though this is start from a really academic background, but this is the reality that we see every single day, and this is what happened to us when we live under particular social reality without even knowing the alternative facts. I will try to make it short because I think I only have 10 to 12 minutes presentation, and I will keep the rest for the question and answer. So what is the common belief? So gender as both as a field and a study in Indonesia is actually a really westernized notion. So the association of gender studies and feminism, it is always related with women's studies. So in terms of gender relation, we always think or expect that women is the marginalized, women is submissive, and women is subordinated. So therefore, it is unsurprising that in Indonesia, much of the work done on gender has focused disproportionately on women. So let alone question about men, for example. Yeah. So studies related to gender in Indonesia related only to women's emancipation or gender equality, which actually this is a universalized concept. So it makes it really universal. So it looks like around the globe, the problem is always the same. It is always about gender equality. It is always about women discrimination, that we don't start to think how did it start, and without even question, is it really the reality in Indonesia, and then how we have to see it in this kind of gender relation. Also, at the same time, by seeing this kind of gender dynamics, we also presume that gender equality inequality is happening in Indonesia, or at least in developing or underdeveloped country, while presumed gender equality is always existed in a more modernized or more westernized country. So at the same time, we always see that Western countries as the how to say, like a kiblah, so like the ideal concept of the West of the gender equality. But what about the social reality? So what happened actually in Indonesia? So in Indonesia, at least in pre-colonial society, there are plethora of research, or at least a proof that women do not necessarily represent subordinated of marginalized group in society. Even from the media representation, we see many kinds of representation that talk about women do not always in submissive roles. For example, in the domestic domain, I think we used to have the sinetron, the soap opera, Laki-laki Takut Istri, but until nowadays we don't have Istri Takut Suami, right? Those kind of situation is always happening in Indonesia. Even when we talk about capital economic, I think until nowadays I still have many colleagues, even though they are a really young family, they have this kind of concept. Yeah, if both of the husband and wife have a job, have a really good job, for example, the commitment, it is always about my money is my money, your money is my money. So this is also the case, right? So actually this is happen in every level in society, but because of the dominant discourse, dominant concept that women is subordinated, sometimes we just choose not to see it, or we live in our own reality. And then both private and public domain do not necessarily submissive to each other. So we then have to see either public domain and private domain. It has a hierarchical position. It's just two different arena with two different individuals that wants to either involve in more a public domain or either involve in more domestic domain. But as we can see, even until nowadays in new media, women especially keep raising each other with whether goes with the wanita karir or whether goes with ibu rumah tangga. There's always hierarchical position, which is not always the case, yeah, because it's just two different arena. And then the last one, that both feminine and masculine characteristic also do not necessarily submissive to each other. It's just different characteristic. So women do not always goes with feminine and men do not always goes with masculine. But then how does it start, right? The question, the last part of my presentation. So this is Simone de Beauvoir. She is a French writer. Her most famous book is The Second Sex. Probably the audience also know it. She is famous with his existential philosophy. So she mentioned that one is not born, but rather becomes a woman. So in her book, we can see that actually the way women became the second sex, it is originally part of the European culture. This is part of the European social dynamics on that time, which apparently brought by the Dutch colonizer, because we are part of the Dutch colonizer and we have been colonized for almost than 215 years as an archipelago, of course, not as in Indonesia. So in her book, we can also see that in the European society, not only in France, but also in the Netherlands, as well as in Germany and all over Europe, women do not have a right for social or economic capital. So you cannot ask for divorce, for example. You don't have right in the politics, and you are not allowed to go to work in terms of public domain. And then if you are divorced, of course, everything that you own belongs to your husband. So it is difficult for women to be empowered, at least in terms of economic capital. So those situations makes women as the second sex in the European social structure. So men at the other side is the superior because they are very masculine, for example. So this is also the division between the masculine and the feminine characteristics. So everything that belongs to women, or at least close to women characteristic, became something that is related to feminism, or sorry, related to feminists. And this feminine characteristic, because it's not like the masculine characteristic, became submissive. Because, for example, you are not strong, you are not independent, you have this part of your body that it will be subjected to the male gaze, and etc. So this kind of ideology brought by the Dutch colonizer during their colonization in Indonesia. So actually, not only women of color, but also white women, as well as men of color, which is the colonized, is subjugated to this masculine orient perspective, and that all the European man is the superior. So the superior and the inferior, not in terms of men and women in Indonesia, but it is more in terms of the colonized and the colonizer. So this is a picture of Raja Surakarta during the Dutch colonization period. So during the Dutch colonization period, they have this strategy in domesticated elites. So they regularly disseminated photographs of ostentatiously dressed sultan. So you can see that this is really the representation of Victorian marriage, in which on the left one is the women wife. So which is why the Sultan is holding the Dutch colonizer officer, because it looks like the Dutch want to feminize the indigenous. Yes, so you can see this is not always the case for women, but also for the colonized mind. So this kind of representation was existed during the 19th century during the Dutch colonization period. But how is the situation actually in Indonesia, in the pre-colonial Indonesia, in the archipelago? So we can see actually that there are many proofs that Indonesian women do not necessarily submissive or not the subordinated part of, we don't have to be submissive in the masculine roles or even to the roles of men. Like people used to say the word of man. Does it really word of man, or it's just the word of the colonizer? Because they are the one who induced this kind of gender relation to Indonesia society. So even before, or I think this is Tri Buana Tunggadewi. So this is the 13th century. She is the queen of one of Indonesia, Javanese kingdom, Indonesia.
Excuse me, Ibu, you have 2 minutes?
Yeah, I will make it short. So this is Kemahalayati. This is the first naval admiral in Aceh. This is Nyi Ageng Serang. She fought during the Pangeran Diponegoro War. And this Henry Sandgraaf. This is a book by Henry Sandgraaf. He is the Dutch journalist. He had this first-hand experience. He goes to Aceh War and he witnessed with his own eyes the way Indonesian women fought as the same as the Indonesian men, which is really shocked him, because this is not the case for European women, especially the Dutch women. And then this is Harsa Bakhtiar. He made, I think, a really good article about how Kartini was intentionally chosen by the Dutch administration in order to show that this is what Dutch has been doing in Indonesia, which is educating, making you smarter, making you literate, and etc. But this is not always the case, yeah, because before Kartini, actually, there are different kind of women who fought for Indonesia, but then the Dutch choose not to cover this kind of side. Then it will show what kind of their colonization doing in Indonesia, which is not only about education, but it is more about the colonization itself. So I think that will be the last part of my presentation. And so this is the further reading. So I think it is the beginning for us to start thinking about the gender relation, and then how did it start, and then how we tend to see the Western countries, or at least the Netherlands, as the ideal norms of the relation between men and women. Thank you, Bu Arianti. Hopefully,
thank you.
So
could you choose three? Could you choose two? Sorry, choose two questions from the chat, because we are really running out of time. And what we need is just two, and then maybe you can answer. You choose the two, best two. There's several of them now. Right now, we're right here.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Yeah.
Wait.
One is from Battaglia. Battaglia.
Because it is. There are many questions. Let's start with the last one. Yeah, I think it will be easier. Please let me know the question.
Alexa, Battaglia.
So yeah, the question from Bu Friska Amalia, I think regarding the traditional hierarchy in society in the past, especially in patriarchy. Yeah, I know. There are many, I think many scholars, or at least wrote about this. But when we take a look at the so-called traditional hierarchy, where actually it starts from the colonial period. So because we've been colonized by more than 200 years, so what we call as traditional actually is part of the Dutch colonization period. So it's not really traditional, but it is the modern type of the way we see gender relation, because in the pre-colonial conception there are no division or there are no hierarchy between men and women. So you can go both to the private or public domain. For example, when you go to the rice field, then it is not about because of gender, but this is because your responsibility. This is your time as a man to row the rice field, and this is the time for women, for example. So I think that is the case in Japanese society, which is known as the most patriarchal society. So this is my answer to Bu Friska, and the next one, Bu Atalia Alvareta. Let me read the question. The question is how we as a women change the stigma and perspective of our people in era globalization, and is there a way to support women movement in this pandemic, because it's really hard to maintain communication and contact with each other. So the definition of being weak, actually, if it is probably related more to our biological uh, differences with men, but in my at least in my situation or in my career, this is not always the truth, because men can also be the subject of sexism joke nowadays, especially. Yeah. I think this is also the effect of the feminism movement itself, because yeah, the movement, we also have to realize this is not only creating a good effect, but also at the same time a bad effect. The way, for example, we try to objectify men as well, at the same time the way men objectify women. Uh, but the way we communicate to each other, especially when we are part of the society, actually, as a women in Indonesia, living as a women in Indonesia, we have more access. We have a more social access. In many cases, ibu rumah tangga, housewife, they have more social access to the society that enable them to have the social empowerment and social support. We have this PKK, for example, we have pengajian and etc. And we have different kind of sport group, for example, in our neighborhood. So when it comes to men and women in the social dynamic, most of the time when men goes to the public arena, they have a job and then they have to retire. They have this kind of depression because they don't know what to do, because it looks like they cut their empowerment when they have been retired. But for women, because they used to have this social link, their social connection with the society, so it is easier for them to adjust. So even though for me, for example, if I retire from my job as a lecturer, for example, it is easier for me to adapt because I used to have this social network in my neighborhood, for example, right? So I can always go with different kind of social groups, which doesn't necessarily my colleagues in the office. So this is also happened in times of pandemic as well, because
Sorry,
yes.
can you name the two names, please? Now, the winner of your choice.
I yeah, the one that I answered. Actually, there are really good questions, but I don't have the time to read it by one. So I think the one that I answered, is that okay, Bu Arianti?
Yes.
Or should I choose different person?
It's up to you, actually, Dr. Zazi. Which
Okay,
one that
so
suits you most?
the
Yeah,
one
for the
that I answered
questions.
probably. I'm really sorry for the audience because yeah, I have really limited time. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think the one that I
So,
answered, Bu Arianti.
so the one who just answered was from
Bu Friska and Bu Atalia.
yeah, Ibu Atalia and Ibu Friska. Congratulations to Ibu Friska and Ibu Atalia. Each one of them will receive a data of 20,000, and you may probably approach the committee for this. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Desi, for the inspiring insight that we have learned about women. Women are very we need to stay positive here. even what do you call it, having inclination from the men, because we have learned it from the era of the colonization. So we have to stop thinking that we're not invincible. We are invincible. Okay, thank you, Dr. Desi. Let's move on to our last presenters. Our last presenter, can we have a spotlight of Associate Professor Dina Praptoraharja. Hello. Hello, Prof. Dina.
Hello.
How are you? Yeah.
I'm very well, thank you.
Today?
Thank
are you
for
okay?
having
You
me.
look very, German will say astounding. It means very fresh.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, Ibu Dina, she is the residing professor at Binus University. Besides that, let me have a profile of you. Let me read a profile, maybe a little bit about yourself. She's known previously as, she's been practicing diplomacy and involved in various aspects of public policies in Indonesia, and also serving as a faculty member, as an associate professor of international relations at Bina Nusantara University. Her field of expertise is political economy, foreign policy, and social protection, both health and unemployment protection programs. Her formal education, she graduated with PhD and MA degree in comparative politics from Ohio State University. And then her bachelor degree in international relations from University of Indonesia. And she has published numerous books, journals, book chapters, and articles on her field of studies of expertise. Without much ado, Ibu Dina, let's hear it up from your perspective. How would women should do and interact in the future? Thank you. The floor is yours, Prof. Dina.
Thank you very much, Ibu Arianti. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure and my honor to participate in this International Days Forum. Happy International Women's Day to all women in this forum. May we are blessed in our contribution to our society and to the world. In this occasion, I would like to share my reflection on my activities to combat trafficking in persons or human trafficking in Southeast Asia. I led the use of human rights based approach, which is a way of looking from the vulnerable people in combating human trafficking in Southeast Asia. First, in my capacity between 2016 and 2018, as Indonesia's representative to the ASEAN Human Rights Body, called ICHAR, ASEAN Intergovernmental Commission on Human Rights. And nowadays, after that tenure is over, I advise and provide expertise to the national network of civil society groups working on the matter, as well as to BP2MI, that's the National Agency to Protect the Rights of Migrant Workers. It just recently have a task force to combat syndicate of illegal sending of Indonesian migrant workers. For your information, I'm just one among the many women working to combat human trafficking. So there are many women working on this issue, from those who work in solitude, out in remote areas, local areas. And you also notice there are people who work in the World Eyes, such as the UN Goodwill Ambassador to Combat Human Trafficking, Academy Award winning actress Mira Sorvino, for instance. So human trafficking does require a lot of participation from people to combat. Human trafficking is a crime that involves recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of people through force, fraud, or deception with the aim of exploiting them for profit. Men, women, children of all ages and from all backgrounds can become victims of this crime. And this occurs on a regular basis on every region of the world. Traffickers often use violence and fraudulent employment agencies and fake promises of education as well as job opportunities to trick and to coerce their victims. This is a grave violation of human rights because it undermines freedom and dignity of human beings for the sake of self-satisfaction and earning lucrative businesses. There has been far too few prosecutions compared with the millions of people trafficked globally. If you notice the components of these crimes, which are these components, these three components, you notice that it is very difficult to spot the signs. And even after you spot the signs, it's not easy to prove them before the police or the court. So for this to constitute a crime, it has to be defined clearly what action is being done to the victims. It can be recruitment, transportation, harboring, or receipt of person. And then for how were they recruited? Through what kinds? And then for what purposes? Most of the times, very difficult to spot. So for instance, recruitment and harboring. These actions are often mistaken for mutual desire or administrative violation of law, not having permit to put people under one roof prior to working somewhere else, for instance. And because these victims often made having debt bondage, paying upfront to work somewhere while they are actually being deceived, threatened, and some extent they're also being abducted and sold by their own family members. The purpose and actions are often mistaken for getting lives, getting better lives, or getting experiences, or finding good husbands. So tracking victims often fail to spot the ring of perpetrators. Perpetrators are not necessarily systematically connected to each other. They are cross-border in nature, either province to province or country to country. So if you notice from this map of Southeast Asia, the region is a destination for world's 80% of victims. The vast majority, about more than 85% of these victims, are detected in East Asia and the Pacific, and they were trafficked from within the region. About 6% of the victims were trafficked from South Asia, particularly from Bangladesh and India. Another 5% victims detected during this time period belong to ethnic minorities in Southeast Asia, including from Myanmar, the place where we now witness violence. More than half of the victims detected in East Asia and Pacific are trafficked along short distance flow, as well as large part trafficking is either for domestic or between neighboring countries. As you can see, the trafficking flows within the region is very complex. The other destination for trafficking is Middle East. And you also notice that growingly, the destination is also China, and some of them is North America. What we need to understand here is that anyone can fall victim. This is poorly understood in most places. While it is true that mostly poor people with lack of choices often fall victims, people living in border areas, people living in touristic area, in vulnerable locations where monitoring and law enforcement is poor, as well as people or children with vulnerability, either mental or physical, are also prone to this crime. Women, girls, children born out of wedding, children of overseas workers, children during natural disasters, children sent to orphanage houses, men working in the fishery sectors where no monitoring is possible throughout their work time, divorcees. These are examples of vulnerable people who may be prone to human trafficking. So modus operandi are many kinds, which evolves by demands and supply. The COVID-19 pandemic worsened human trafficking, partly because of debt bondage. People needs money to sustain their life. Some of them is also because 60% and more of workers around the world are in the informal sector, so they lose their income and they need to start working somewhere else, and they are willing to take any risk for that. Children are also now more exposed to technology and social media. And this is the most recent means of recruiters to deceive children and also youth, young people. So working alone at the local and national level would put us in a very weak position. So we have to work together basically to combat such complex crime. In ASEAN, we push for the human rights-based approach to combat trafficking. Namely, we'll look to push countries to look from the eyes of the victims instead of assuming circumstances faced by people or by a society. We go down to the most vulnerable individuals to recognize their modus of operandi, the ring of crimes, and the roots for the crime. And indeed, the weakest links, in my observation, is the human rights-based perspective. People have difficulty in understanding why women, why children and vulnerable disabled people, also vulnerable men, fall victim, often numerous times. Some of the people I met, they fall victim more than 5 times in their lives to this ring of crime. So it is much easier for policymakers, for public, and even for the media to discuss security aspect of human trafficking, to discuss about law enforcement, to discuss about the importance of doing business or sustaining businesses, rather than thinking from the eyes of the most vulnerable people. It's very easy for most of us to blame victims and to throw the burden of protection to those individuals.
Dina, excuse me, you have 1 minute.
Sure. So, of course, the size of the economy is so big and the many people involved are already many, but the size of the economy involved is so huge that this business alone is a very lucrative business. Give you one example that for every migrant workers sent illegally, the recruiter on the one side of the world, like from Indonesia, for instance, as the source, will get at least 20 million rupiah per person. That's approximately about 1,300 USD. So if you get poor people with disability, with no caring family, and then somehow he's being abducted and got all his organs removed, his death, nobody's going to notice. So, ladies and gentlemen, the challenges is big, yeah, for combating this crime. I noted here the gender-related challenges, some cultural barriers, some support system is very complex. Usually, people having the abuse, especially sex abuse, they have big challenge to express themselves.
Sorry, the time is up. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess for the last part, I would like to highlight this. I would like to attract your attention to consider participating in combating trafficking. These are some of the things that I wish you can help participate. All of us nearby need to spot signs and risk, speak up and report. And if somehow you have the privilege to develop policies, please see from the eyes of the weakest stakeholders and refrain from criminalizing victims. Because hopefully that would create bigger support for all of us at the most vulnerable position. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Could you please look at the chat box, and then you may probably choose 2 names that is relevant to your liking.
Okay, wait up.
You might probably also answer them. 2 out of the questions in there. It started out with no, hang on. It's too much. Hang on. Too high. Oops.
I guess there's only one question, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you please, answer them?
Okay. So the one question coming in is about the strategy to increase awareness of people. The strategy to increase awareness, what is being done is quite plenty, but it's not quite effective. Why? Because it most of the times it requires people, just lay citizens to understand this. But the apparatus, the state apparatus, are not growing in their keberpihakan. Yeah, they're taking sides with the people. Remains weak. So places like, maybe you've heard, maaf ada suara apa?
It's training
Okay,
here.
baik. Okay, so for instance, the latest information that we heard from TV about a few months ago, PP pusat tempat penampungan ya dari Kementerian Pemberdayaan Perempuan P2 TP2 di daerah Lampung, a place that's supposed to provide a safe house for children who just experience sexual abuse, turns out doing sexual abuse to that girl. So this is the ultimate example of how bad the protection system still. That the most important thing, I think, is for our government to also outreach to the government officials. The second question is, how do we avoid human trafficking, and also how to make sure that we don't criminalize? One of the things that I did in the past was to speak up against a woman that was criminalized by a politician in front of the TV, by the media, simply because he wanted to be perceived as going against prostitution in one province. But the problem with his approach is that he take videos of the women during the capture of that woman without thinking that she herself is a victim of human trafficking. Kebanyakan dari masyarakat itu tidak memahami bahwa perempuan yang bekerja sebagai pekerja seksual komersil itu juga direkrut secara sistematis, dibohongi, dibuat sedemikian rupa supaya mereka tidak bisa keluar dari lingkar itu. Jadi dengan mengkriminalisasi mereka, menangkap mereka, apalagi mempermalukan mereka, itu kita juga lupa bahwa tadi yang saya ceritakan sebagai big business in the sector, mulai dari sektor turisme, entertainment, sampai ke urusan agama ya. One of the things that I learned is that lembaga-lembaga agama itu juga di dalam tempat-tempat boarding school-nya, misalnya panti asuhan, itu juga terjadi. Satu kasus yang sedang saya dampingi sekarang, itu puluhan anak sengaja direkrut dari berbagai daerah di Indonesia, for the sake of them being poor katanya, nggak bisa sekolah, disekolahkan ke Jakarta, tetapi dieksploitasi secara seksual oleh pengurusnya. Dan hal-hal seperti ini sulit sekali di-spot ya, kecuali kita memang seperti saya katakan tadi, modusnya ini bisa beragam, nggak sama selalu, tetapi intinya tadi 3 komponen tadi harus isinya itu ada eksploitasinya. Si korban ini tidak mendapatkan sesuatu yang bermakna buat mereka, dan sementara mereka yang mengurus itu mendapatkan disproportionately profit ya.
Thank you, Ibu.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you just conclude the 2 names again?
The 2 names are, the first one is Alexa Ade, and
it
I
would,
guess the second one is the Najla Azarin.
Okay, Ibu, thank you so much for the names and from the inspiring presentation on victimized women, on criminalization of women, criminalized victim of women. This is really something that we need to know, that we need to be smart, ya. We need to be educated juga kali ya, untuk mengerti supaya tidak terjerumus ke sana, supaya tidak jatuh ke prostitution dan lain-lain. Terima kasih sekali. Sayang waktunya pendek sekali. Yeah, thank you to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Let's go back to the situation now. We have heard all the 5 presenters so far. We're going to have a group photo for us, a group picture. So before we talk about, we're going to do the group picture. Let me summarize just in a few one sentences of what we have learned today from our 5 speakers. So what we have learned from our 5 speakers are that we need to work hand in hand with men also, so that they could understand that being women, for the example in the pregnancy, like what we have seen in the film during the Teresa Battaglia was showing, that we should have equal rights to have an equally need to have get same pay like the men, and we have to be strong also, understand what's going on, and then at the same time we have to be healthy and safety. That's why we need sport. Yeah, kalau seperti as like Ibu Angling was saying. So we need sport so that we are stay away from disease and cancer. That's for Ibu Barbara, Samantha Barbara. Now, our mentality need to be positive and learn how women don't have to be submissive to men's role. And that's for Ibu Dr. Desi. And if we are smart, with no literacy and skillful, we are safe from women trafficking or even criminalized victim. That's from Professor Dina. So without what we have learned today, maybe it is sufficient for you, or maybe it's not sufficient. We can have another sessions again, hosted by ComDev, Community Development of Binus and TFI. And for this, I hope that the session is beneficial to all, whereas we can learn about many interactions with women, locally, internationally, and as of course we have 5 prominent lecturers and speakers, and information that has been shared to us today were very informative and great sharing from the speakers. Now, as we at the time will conclude soon, we would like to have a group picture, maybe Ibu Mondor. Well, I can just return the sessions to Ibu Mondor as the MC. Thank you so much for coming to this organization. I really thank you for my opportunity to be here as a moderator. Thank you, Ibu Mondor. Let's have a group picture.
Okay, we'd like to thanks again for the moderator and all the presenter for the informative and interesting talk. Before we end the seminar, I would like to ask the audience to kindly turn on the camera so we could all take the picture together.
Okay. Okay. Saya kasih aba-aba ya. Di sini ada 7 slide. Saya coba bantu sebentar. Oke. 1, 2, 3. Oke, ditunggu. Slide kedua. Oke, sebentar. 1, 2, 3. Oke, sebentar. Slide ketiga. Oke. Slide ketiga tidak ada yang buka kamera. Oke. Oke. Mungkin Ibu Mundore bisa langsung untuk closing. Silakan Ibu.
Enggak. Yang winners nggak saya dulu. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of the seminar. You had a long week and have participated actively. I'm sure you are all looking forward to getting back to your perspective. We are once again, thank you for your participation. We hope to see you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, audience. Thank you for coming here. It's been a pleasure. See you again in our next conference or seminar. Thank you. Thank you, speakers.
Thank you, all speakers.
Terima kasih, Bapak Ibu.
Terima kasih. Thank you. Grazie, dottoressa Battaglia. Ci vediamo.
Grazie. Ci vediamo.
Okay. Halo, Dr. Ulani, Ibu Farah. Yeah, so nice to be here. Ibu Retno, hello Ibu Retno, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for this session. Very insightful.
Thank
Very
you, Bu.
appreciate.
Ya, and
Arianti.
UKM, ibu-ibu semua, Pak Davi, terima kasih. Ada Pokja dari Kelurahan Meluya, terima kasih sudah di sini. Luar biasa. Ada teman-teman, Ibu Alexa menang beberapa pertanyaannya, terima kasih. Ibu Nelly, halo Ibu Nelly Oswini, terima kasih for being here. Ibu Wulan, terima kasih Bu Wulan Danu. Thank you for the questions.
Mohon izin, Ibu Arianti.
Baik.
Iya, mungkin saya share lagi untuk link kuesioner ya. Mungkin Bapak Ibu di sini bisa untuk mengisi link kuesioner dulu sebelum untuk live Zoom.
Oh iya, oke, silahkan. Ibu mohon diisi link kuesionernya supaya kita nanti ada sessions lagi yang seperti ini. Tadi soalnya waktunya pendek, cuma 20 menit per speaker. Jadi kalau misalnya speakernya bisa lebih banyak bicaranya, saya juga nggak diburu waktu untuk bertanya. So we will have more time to discuss on this, which is very, very informative. Also for me, as a woman, especially on the sport part, and then everything. We have learned many things, even the human trafficking, illiteracy, yeah, so many things that we need to know about women, yeah, because we are women. Okay, please fill in the form before you leave. Tolong diisi dulu sebelum keluar dari Zoom ini untuk mengisi questionnaire supaya kita ada perbaikan, Ibu. Kedepannya harus seperti apa menurut Ibu, bagaimana enaknya?
Atau
Pembelajaran buat kami ya, Bu Mondor ya.
Iya, benar Bu.
Iya.
Atau ide-ide lain ya Bu ya?
Ya, ide-ide lain barangkali
ya?
apa yang kita akan buat acara-acara yang seperti ini dengan informasi dan permintaan dari Ibu Bapak semua ada di sini. Mohon diisi ya Bu, jangan sampai enggak. Ibu Hermin, Bu Helena Hosiana, terima kasih, mohon diisi Bu. Ibu Herviani, Coach Herviani, UMKM, terima kasih Ibu sudah di sini. Barangkali bawaannya ya, UMKM ya, wanita-wanita tangguh. Kementerian Wanita, juga BPPA. Terima kasih Ibu, Bapak yang sudah hadir pada siang hari ini. Mohon diisi Pak, biar kita ada masukan sedikit untuk kelangsungan acara berikutnya dan performa kita hari ini. Kita akan stop di jam berapa Ibu? Ibu Ayu, jam berapa kita akan?
Ya, Ibu.
Sudah semua?
Ya, jika sudah, bisa langsung dari closing dari Ibu Arianti atau Ibu Mundore.
Ya, terima kasih. Sampai ketemu lagi.
Terima kasih atas kehadirannya. Sampai bertemu kembali acara-acara berikutnya.
Maaf kalau diburu waktu ya, waktunya memang hanya 20 menit. Karena presenternya banyak dan bagus-bagus semua presenternya. Luar biasa. Bu Retno, mantap.
Bu Retno, terima kasih untuk kesempatannya menjadi MC.
Iya, luar biasa Bu Retno. Di sini juga banyak sekali sebenarnya dari audience yang juga bisa cerita tentang pengalamannya ya. Ada dari Kementerian PPPA, ya, ada juga dari UKM yang diprakarsai oleh coach gitu, luar biasa. Ya, startup bisnis wanita di sini juga yang semoga bermanfaat. Ya, semoga Ibu Retno bisa buat acara lagi yang seperti ini di kemudian hari. Terima kasih. Saya mohon izin, kalau sudah mengisi, kami mohon izin untuk ke session yang lain lagi. Terima kasih. Sampai ketemu tahun depan ya Bu Retno ya.
Ya, terima kasih.
Ya Bu Ayu, tahun depan ya.
Mungkin Bu
Oke,
Retno
Bu Mariani, terima kasih.
Bu Retno.
Sama-sama Pak Bende. Ya, oke.
Terima kasih semuanya.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Tita. Ya, terima kasih Bu Mariani, Pak Wisnu, Pak Hasan, so much.
Oke. Baik Ibu Retno, mohon izin apakah bisa langsung di end Zoom saja? Oke, baik. Terima kasih semuanya yang sudah hadir. Selamat siang semuanya.